to my BOOKTUBE-A-THON wrap up. I know that it is now the middle of August and this BOOKTUBE-A-THON happened a month ago, but I have decided to film this video for you guys because I've been meaning to do it and I kept forgetting about it, and also I'm just plain lazy as anything, so I never filmed it. And I had to just go through my Goodreads account to work out what books I actually read during the BOOKTUBE-A-THON because I had forgotten, because that's how long ago it was. Anyway, so in the BOOKTUBE-A-THON, which is it's a readathon run by a YouTuber here called Ariel, and there were themes that I didn't follow. So the themes were, what were some of the themes? One was like a book you bought solely because of the cover, a book with someone on the cover, a hyped book. Like there were all these different themes which I didn't follow because I just wanted to use this time to read as much as I possibly could in the time given. The first book that I picked up to read it was Monday morning when I picked this one up, and I finished it on Tuesday evening, and it is The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. I really liked this book. I thought it was good. It's got... That's why it helps to pre-plan for videos. 403 pages, this one does. And it's basically about a diabolic, which is kind of like this machine type, not really a machine, but this like thing that is bred to protect somebody, and it is bred to protect Sidonia, which is the, I think, the emperor's daughter, not the senator's daughter, sorry. And everything goes hunky-dory until Sidonia, the daughter, is told to go to the big spaceship thing in the middle of the galaxy, and they are worried that they're gonna try to kill, like the parents are worried that they're gonna try to kill Sidonia, so they decide to send Nemesis instead. Everything's great and all, nobody gets killed to begin with, but then things go bad, and yes, so it's a great book though. It's got a little bit of romance in it, between Nemesis and a boy. But then it's got action, it's got some like dystopian type themes as well. Like I just really liked this book. And so I am going to give this book an A-, as that is how I'm grading my books now. The second book that I read, which I picked up Tuesday night after I finished The Diabolic, was Caraval. And I think it was quite late on Tuesday night when I picked this one up, but I finished it on Wednesday because I read most of the day Wednesday. This book is basically about two sisters, Scarlett and Tella. There's this caraval thing that goes on each year that the Caraval Master Legend or whatever holds, and they have always wanted to go to it since they were little because they heard all these great stories from their grandma, but they never got to go. And then just before Scarlett gets married, they get tickets to go to Caraval, and Scarlett, the goody two-shoes, doesn't really want to go, but Tella is dead set on going. She's so excited about it, and they find this guy who has a boat and he's going to take them there. It's all well and good, except Tella gets lost, and it's up to Scarlett to find Tella before the end of the caraval when something bad is going to happen. I'm not too sure. Anyway, I really liked it a lot, and I mean, in the end you do actually get to meet the person that Scarlett was meant to marry, and he's not as nice as she always thought, and I mean, it all just kind of leads up to that. For me, I don't know, I liked this because it was, what I like about this book is also, look how pretty some of the like the graphics in it are. Like, it's got a clock there. There's letters, so it's like, there's a few letters in it. Every time somebody sent a letter, it's actually like a letter. There's sections, so this is night 1 of Caraval, And the first section, did the first section have a name? Oh, and also you know it's a good book when it's got a map in it. So it's got a map of Caraval and all the different places that are in it. And so it's nice to be able to follow along up the Isle of Trisda. So yeah, it's got like the Isle of Trisda, and then you've got, you know, getting to Caraval, night 1, night 2, night 3, night 4, night 5, stuff like that. And I really like having that because then it was good because I was getting so into it that I wouldn't eat, drink or go to the toilet until a break came up, so it was nice to have the breaks. Anyway, I would give this book probably an A. I liked this. This was very, very good. I really enjoyed this a lot, so this was brilliant. The third book I read was Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. It's about a girl called Charlie, and she is basically in recovery. She tried to kill herself and went to a mental hospital. Then she gets released from the mental hospital. It's just going through her life as she builds herself back up again. This book was okay. I would suggest a strong trigger warning for people who read this book who have not had the best life beforehand. It was a good book, but not for me. I had to go and read something very nice afterwards, and I didn't sleep well for the next few days because it just reminded me of dark times. Anyway, so this book has 401 pages, and I do like the character build up though, although there are some things I would have liked to have been changed. So for example, Charlie goes into the mental hospital, and there's some really great characters in there, but just as you're about to know them, you're like, oh, I'd love to know more about this girl, I'd love to know more about this person, oh, I want to know the backstory for this person. She gets released, and it's like, oh. And that's the last that you hear of most of those people. I mean, there is one person called Blue, which was also in the mental hospital because she also tried to kill herself, and she'd burn herself, and that was her form of self-harm, and she ends up catching up with Charlie a bit later on. And I like Blue. Blue was quite different from what I first thought she'd be in the mental hospital. She seemed like to me she seemed like a thug. Like I felt like she'd be just mean, thuggy, but she ended up being kind of a girly girl towards the end. Charlie meets this boy called Riley who gives her a job at this little cafe, and they fall in love, but then we find out that Riley has his own secrets and he does drugs. He sends Charlie to his drug dealer to collect drugs for him quite often, which is not good as she is only like 17 or something. Anyway, he breaks Charlie's heart by doing his drug dealer in front of her and telling her to piss off, basically. Which also ruins Blue because he tells Blue some bad stuff too, because Blue's come to live with Charlie. And anyway, it does have a nice ending though. Like it's not a sad ending, but it just hit me too hard. This was my first book that I'd read like this. Like I haven't read books like this. I'm always reading different worlds and stuff, but this was my first like real life book, and it hit me too hard. But I'm not going to let that affect the grade. I'm going to give it a B. Straight B. Just because there were so many things that could have been improved about this book. It was nice. It had a good message. But I wanted to get to know other characters. It was quite slow moving at times. There wasn't a whole heap going on. But solid B. The audiobook that I finished was The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I basically just listened to this one in the car. It's quite a long audiobook, but I listened to it in 2 times the speed, so I got through it in 5 hours rather than 10 hours or whatever it is. And the guy that read it, he kind of annoyed me a little bit. So I mean, I didn't have the best experience. I liked the story, but the guy that read it just kind of did my head in a little bit. I think he was kind of an old guy, I'm not too sure who he was, but anyway. And when he sang the songs, particularly in 2 times the speed, it just sounded really weird. So I did enjoy that book. I will give it a B+. I know that I will probably get hammered for that because so many people love the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, like that whole world. I liked the world too, but it was just that guy that did my head in. So I reckon if I read any more, I'm not going to listen to that guy, that's for sure. Moving on to books that I started and didn't finish, or I only read half of, and stuff like that. So I read about 110 pages of Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. I was going through my grandma's house and she had some books that she was willing to get rid of from her childhood, so I went and grabbed this one so that I could read it. I loved it. So I watched the Anne with an E series on Netflix and I absolutely loved that, but obviously that finishes at episode 7, which is in the middle of the book, basically. And I just wanted to know what happened next. So I went ahead and read the book, and there are a fair few differences between the Netflix series and the book, but I do think that the Netflix series has done so well. And if you guys follow Amy Beth McNulty, who plays Anne in the Anne with an E series, you will know by now there is going to be a season 2. Get ready for Anne with an E season 2 because I am so excited about that. Anyway, the book I'm giving about an A- because it is brilliant for younger readers, brilliant for older readers, but just the way Anne talks, I mean, she's supposed to be 11, doesn't really hit me as an 11-year-old. Sorry, that's where I'm going with that one. Anyway, the next book that I got a little bit of the way through, I read maybe 60 pages of this one. Like I literally, actually, I probably read about 100 pages of this one as well, just because I wanted to have a bit of a change in books. And this is Dragonfly in Amber by Diana Gabaldon. This is the second book in the series, the Outlander series. I have literally been reading this one for months because I just not getting that into it. I mean, I love this series, I love the world, I think it's brilliant, but I just take forever to read it. I mean, I'm currently 571 pages through this and it's taken me months, and there's like a ridiculous amount of books in this series. But anyway, so far this book has been brilliant, but I'm just not getting into it quickly enough. And the third and final book that I read part of is To All the Boys I Loved Before. I have recently, this one is now finished. I've now finished this book. And this is a trilogy, the Lara Jean trilogy. And because I have finished it now, I can tell you what I thought. So I did like this book. This was a good book. This book, it was so happy. This was a happy book. That's how I'm going to describe it. It's just light. It's a nice light read, and after going through the hell that I went through after Girl in Pieces, this one was just happy. I mean, there's nothing bad going on in it. Literally, a girl's letters to these boys that she likes or did like in her past get sent out. Like, that's the bad thing of this whole book. Her sister breaks up with her boyfriend, who Lara Jean likes. That's pretty much the only bad thing, so she just tries to make him jealous. Anyway, everything works out in the end and everything's all happy, and that's why I like this book. And I'm going to give this book an A- just because not a lot happens, but it is a nice, light, happy read, and it is only 355 pages. Alright, so that's all I've got to tell you guys. That is all I've read, and that is the most reading I have done in the longest time. And I'm sorry that it's taken me such a long time to film this wrap-up video, but I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope you will join me next year when I do this BOOKTUBE-A-THON again, and I hope all of you guys do it as well, because it is fun. It is so much fun. They do challenges and all sorts, and it's just fun. So have an amazing life.